17 years carving out the perfect life, and it took a single night to shatter it all. The New York skyline blazed in the dusk, but inside, Jake Walker, a colder inferno was igniting. His career? Flawless. His penthouse? A monument to success. His marriage? Once unbreakable. But truth, like oil on water, always rises. One screen flicker, one message, and his world imploded. "Can't wait to see you again! Last night was unreal. Same time next week?" The sender's name hit him like ice water. Richard Sterling. A man he'd trusted, a man who'd smiled across his dinner table, a man bedding his wife. But Jake wasn't wired to crumble. No screaming, no begging. He'd strike back, hard, precise, where it would bleed most. Their betrayal would be the most expensive mistake of their lives. Game on. Only one would walk away unscathed. The New York skyline, a jagged silhouette of amber light, shimmered against the horizon. Each towering skyscraper seemed to pulse with the city's restless energy, bathed in the dying sun's final embrace. From his corner office, 40 stories above the city's relentless churn, Jake watched it all. A view earned after 17 years of brutal climb. That same relentless drive poured into his career had once fueled his marriage. Now, both felt like sand slipping through his fingers. His phone vibrated in his pocket. Another text from Sarah. "Working late, don't wait up, love you." The words were hollow, mechanical, each syllable thinner than the last. Weeks since he'd felt any real spark between them. Affection, once a shared current, now a rote performance. He stared at the message, his thumb hovering over the screen, a phantom memory of when "love you" resonated like a heartbeat. "Everything all right, Mr. Walker?" Maya's voice sliced through his reverie. His assistant of 8 years stood in the doorway, coat slung over her arm, glasses dangling from a chain. Her gaze, as always, saw right through the carefully constructed facade. Jake forced a smile, trying to mask the exhaustion that clung to him like a shroud. "All good, Maya," he replied, jamming his phone back into his pocket. "Have a good evening." "You too, sir," she said, hesitating, that knowing look lingering before she added, "Whatever's eating at you, you'll crack it. You always do." As she left, Jake swiveled back to his calendar, his mind racing. The pattern, stark and undeniable, screamed at him. Sarah had worked late 12 times in the last month. 12. He counted each instance, each one a brick in a wall of suspicion rising in his gut. Her newfound obsession with her phone, the cryptic lunches, the sudden wardrobe upgrade, and then there was the anniversary necklace, the diamonds he'd given her for their 10th. He hadn't seen her wear it in weeks, a detail he hadn't missed. The drive home crawled, each mile stretching into an eternity, Fifth Avenue choked in gridlock. Stop-and-go traffic, too much time to let his thoughts spiral. Sarah, suddenly hitting the gym, new clothes he didn't remember her asking for, a hyper-awareness of her appearance that felt foreign. Subtle hints had morphed into neon signs he could no longer ignore. A decade of shared dreams, trust, devotion. He'd given her everything she'd ever wanted. The Hamptons house, the business she'd always dreamed of launching, his unwavering support through every storm life threw at them. As he pulled into the driveway, the sight of her white SUV parked in its usual spot hit him like a physical blow. He glanced at his watch, 7:30 p.m. So much for working late. The house was eerily silent when he stepped inside, faint sound of the shower running upstairs. His gaze snagged on the wedding photos lining the hallway. Anniversaries, vacations, a life built brick by brick. One photo in particular snagged his attention, their trip to the Hamptons last summer. Sarah's smile in that picture, so radiant, so real, standing in front of a blazing sunset over the water, her arms wrapped around him. Had that smile been genuine? Or had the cracks already begun to spiderweb beneath the surface? Sarah's purse lay carelessly tossed on the kitchen counter, her phone beside it. Usually, her phone was an extension of her hand, almost possessively guarded. But now, as if fate itself was orchestrating a cruel moment of clarity, the screen flickered to life with a notification. Jake's hand trembled as he reached for it. 10 years of marriage. Never once had he invaded her privacy. Trust, their bedrock. But doubt, an insidious poison, had seeped in over the past few weeks. Today it shattered the foundation. The message preview slammed into him, a physical jolt. "Can't wait to see you again, baby. Last night was amazing. Same time next week?" The sender's name sent a glacial chill through his veins. Richard Sterling. Jake knew Richard Sterling well. The arrogant real estate mogul, dripping wealth, wearing it like armor, believing it made him untouchable. The same Richard who was married to Elena, who'd been at their dinner parties, smiled in Jake's face, shook his hand while secretly sleeping with his wife. A memory flashed. The Miller Charity Gala last month at the plaza. Richard and Eleanor had been there, and Sarah, draped in a striking red dress she'd bought just for the event. Jake remembered watching them, how close they stood, their conversation lingering, punctuated by touches, playful laughter. The shower upstairs shut off, snapping him back to the brutal present. Jake quickly placed the phone back exactly where he'd found it and moved into the living room. He poured himself a stiff shot of whiskey from the crystal decanter, a wedding gift from Sarah's parents. His hand was steady, but inside, everything felt shattered. Moments later, Sarah appeared at the top of the stairs, damp hair clinging to the nape of her neck beneath a silk robe. She flinched, a barely perceptible tremor at the sight of him. "Oh, you're home early." Jake took a slow, deliberate sip of his whiskey, his gaze locked on her. Still his wife. Still the woman he'd shared a decade of life with. But everything about her now felt off. Every word, every gesture, every movement, a practiced performance. "Am I?" he asked, his voice flat, controlled. "I thought you were working late." She tucked a damp strand of hair behind her ear, a small, familiar gesture, now laced with a new layer of nervousness. "The meeting wrapped up early," she said, turning towards the kitchen, her back to him. She poured herself a glass of wine, the same expensive vintage Richard had sent over after their last dinner party. "How was your day?" "Enlightening," Jake replied, his voice devoid of inflection. Sarah glanced over her shoulder, an eyebrow arched in confusion. She had no clue of the storm raging beneath his calm surface. "What do you mean?" "Nothing," she replied, her tone clipped, icy. Jake drained his glass, placed it carefully on the counter, and rose to his feet. "I'm going to take a shower," he muttered, each step measured, deliberate, as he ascended the stairs. The faint scent of Chanel No. 19 still lingered in the bedroom, a fragrance she adored, a Christmas gift from him last Christmas. How often had she worn it for Richard? He loosened his tie, his eyes meeting his own reflection in the bathroom mirror. Nothing had changed on the surface. His face, the same face that had left for work that morning, trusting in the vows he'd made. But deep within, everything had shifted. The man who'd left for work, now unrecognizable. The person staring back from the mirror. Harder, colder. Something vengeful taking root. They would both pay. Every lie, every betrayal, every mocking glance, crystallizing into a cold, unwavering resolve. They would both pay. Lying next to her in the darkness, Jake listened to Sarah's even breathing, oblivious to the tempest gathering within him. She slept soundly, unaware of the intricate plans taking shape in the shadows of his mind. This wouldn't be a simple confrontation. No. They deserved far more. Something intricate. Something that would unravel not just their affair, but their entire, carefully constructed world. As he lay there, his phone buzzed softly. A new email notification. An invitation to the Miller Charity Gala next week. Jake couldn't help but smile, the bitter irony a sharp taste on his tongue. Sometimes, the universe had a cruel sense of humor. As Sarah shifted in her sleep, turning away from him, Jake made his decision. The gala. It would be the perfect stage. Filled with New York's elite, an audience to witness him expose every dark secret, every lie, every betrayal. But first, he needed someone on his side, someone who understood the price of revenge. He needed Eleanor Sterling. Over the next week, Jake became a patient predator, silently stalking his prey. He arrived at his office before dawn, using the quiet mornings to meticulously gather evidence, building his case brick by digital brick. His laptop, transformed into a digital arsenal, an ever-growing collection of lies, secret meetings, betrayals, poised to tear their world apart. "Cancel my lunch meetings for the week, Maya," he told his assistant. "Personal matters to attend to." His personal matters, surveillance. The first day, he shadowed Sarah's SUV into the heart of the city, parking it near the Carlisle, discreet, upscale. 20 minutes later, Richard's black Range Rover slid into the same parking garage. Jake, parked across the street, snapped photos with a telephoto lens bought specifically for this purpose. 2 hours later, they emerged separately, flushed faces. Sarah's hair slightly disheveled. He had the evidence he needed, for now, but this was just the prelude. Jake hired a private investigator, not for more evidence of the affair, but to excavate Richard Sterling's life. The report landed quickly, painting a portrait of ruthless ambition masked by polished charm. Richard had built his empire during the 2008 financial crisis, snapping up foreclosed properties for pennies on the dollar. Then, commercial real estate, a sprawling portfolio of high-rise buildings, always shadowed by rumors of bribery and regulatory violations. "Mr. Walker?" The investigator's voice crackled through the phone. "I'm listening." "There's more you should know, Mr. Sterling. He has a pattern." The investigator hesitated. This isn't his first affair. Jake's grip tightened on the phone. "Tell me everything." 3 years ago, he had an affair with his project manager's wife. When it surfaced, the manager was quietly transferred to Detroit. Then, last year, another affair, a client's wife. Afterwards, the client's business was hit with multiple code violations, contracts canceled soon after. "He's a predator," Jake muttered, his voice cold. "A calculated one," the investigator replied. "He preys on married women, often from his social circle, makes them feel special, desired, and when it all unravels, he's got enough dirt on everyone involved to keep them silent." But this time, Richard Sterling had made a fatal miscalculation. He'd chosen the wrong man's wife. Jake spent the next week haunting their usual rendezvous points. The Central Park Cafe, hushed lunches in a secluded booth. The boutique hotel on the Upper East Side, where they vanished for hours. times, dates, locations, meticulously documented, adding to the ever-growing archive of betrayal. Credit card statements confirmed matching charges for hotels, restaurants. Security footage from Jake's office building caught stolen kisses in the parking garage, each piece of evidence carefully catalogued, forming an airtight case. One afternoon, he saw them again, sidewalk cafe, Sarah laughing, head thrown back at something Richard had said, her hand resting possessively on his arm. The intimacy of it twisted Jake's gut. He snapped photos, adding them to the grim collection. That evening, Sarah returned home, humming, carrying a shopping bag from a designer boutique. "Good mood," Jake remarked, eyes fixed on his laptop screen. "Had a great meeting with a potential client," she said, leaning in to kiss him, a perfunctory peck on the cheek. He fought the urge to recoil. "They're interested in redesigning their corporate headquarters." More lies. Jake had watched her spend hours with Richard at that cafe. No client. "Wonderful, honey," he said, forcing a smile. "Who's the client?" A flicker of hesitation, barely perceptible, but he caught it. "Oh, a new tech startup. Very promising." More lies piling up, suffocating him. But he wasn't finished, not by a long shot. The lies had become so ingrained, they flowed effortlessly, almost without thought. Did she still feel guilt? Or had deceit become so routine it no longer registered? Later that evening, he reviewed his findings. Photos, timestamps, credit card statements, hotel receipts, meticulously organized. But still, not enough. To truly dismantle them, he needed precision. Timing flawless, actions surgical. And for that, he needed someone who understood the intricacies of Richard's world. Someone with intimate knowledge of the players. Eleanor Sterling. Reaching out to her wasn't difficult. Wife of a real estate mogul, deeply embedded in charitable circles. A few strategic calls, a carefully worded request, and he had her direct line. Jake stared at the number, the weight of what he was about to do settling in. In the distance, he could hear Sarah in the kitchen, probably texting Richard as she prepared dinner. The sound solidified his resolve. He dialed the number. 3 rings. A calm, controlled voice answered. "Eleanor Sterling." "Ms. Sterling." Jake's voice even, steady. "Yes, who's calling?" "This is Jake Walker. We need to talk." A brief silence, then curiosity laced her tone. "Jake? About what?" "About our spouses. I think we should meet. Somewhere private." A pause. He could almost hear her mind calculating. Finally, her voice returned, cool, tense. "The Pierre. 2 hours. Private room, I'll reserve it." "Perfect," Jake replied, a faint smile tugging at his lips. The pieces were falling into place. The private dining room at the Pierre exuded understated elegance. Soft cream walls, crystal chandeliers bathing the space in warm light, polished mahogany furniture, whispering of quiet wealth. Eleanor was already seated at a corner table, posture impeccable, black Chanel blazer, likely worth more than his monthly mortgage. Her face, a mask of composure, but her fingers tapped a nervous rhythm on the tablecloth. "This better be important," she said coolly, as Jake took a seat. "I don't appreciate cryptic calls." Without a word, Jake slid a manila envelope across the table, unfolding his plan before her eyes. "Your husband's been having an affair with my wife," he said bluntly. Eleanor's hand faltered as she reached for her water glass. Blue eyes narrowed, studying his face. "Excuse me?" Her voice dropped to a near whisper. "I have proof," Jake replied. Slowly, he opened the envelope, laying out photographs, text messages, hotel receipts, each more damning than the last. "They've been meeting for months. Late meetings, business lunches. She picked up the first photo. Richard and Sarah entering the Carlisle. Studied it, then moved to the next. Richard and Sarah, close in a booth at Central Park Cafe. The third photo, Richard kissing Sarah in his car. Eleanor's lips tightened into a thin, hard line. "That son of a—" she muttered, her calm facade cracking for a fleeting moment. Then, a measured inhale, she straightened. "How long have you known?" "A week," Jake said, his voice calm. "Collecting evidence." Eleanor's gaze didn't waver. "I assume this isn't the first time?" Jake asked, curiosity creeping in. A short, humorless laugh escaped her. "Oh, Richard has a type. Married women, preferably from our social circle. Makes them feel—" "Important," Jake finished dryly. "Desired," Eleanor corrected. She took a slow sip of water. "I've known about the others, turned a blind eye, for the sake of appearances, our reputation." She waved a hand at the photos. "But this is different." "This is personal," Jake said quietly, watching her closely. "This is an opportunity," Eleanor said, meeting his gaze directly. "You didn't call me here just to show me evidence. You have a plan, don't you?" Jake's smile, sharp, cold. "The Miller Charity Gala is next week," he said. "Everyone who matters in New York will be there, including our spouses. Instead of confronting them now, letting them lie their way out, we make them watch as everything they've built crumbles." He pulled out the gala invitation, slid it across the table. "We go together," he said, voice low, certain. "Let them see us, let them wonder, let them feel the tension, and when the moment is right, we expose everything." Eleanor's gaze fixed on him, calculating. "You want to destroy them publicly," she said slowly. "I want them to experience the same fear we do," Jake replied. "The constant uncertainty, the knowledge everything they've worked for could collapse at any moment." She nodded, a slow smile curving her lips. "And you need someone who knows how to strike at the heart of what matters most, their reputations." "Their social standing," Jake finished, "the very foundation of their lives." A cold smile played on Eleanor's lips. "Mr. Walker, I believe this is the start of a very profitable partnership." For the next hour, they meticulously crafted their plan. Eleanor would arrive in Jake's car, ensuring their entrance was impossible to ignore. Throughout the evening, they would be inseparable, always in the public eye. "Richard can't stand losing control," Eleanor explained, her voice rich with years of observing her husband. "Once he senses I might know, he'll unravel. Make mistakes." "And Sarah?" Jake asked. Eleanor smirked. "She can't stand being ignored. Seeing us together will drive her mad. But she can't say a word without exposing herself." "The best part?" Eleanor mused, eyes glittering. "They'll never know for sure. Is it real? Do we know? Are we actually together, or is it all just a game?" Jake leaned back, a dark satisfaction curling in his chest. This was just the opening act. Eleanor lifted her wine glass. "It almost feels poetic, doesn't it?" she said, a subtle edge in her voice. "Making them confront the same uncertainty they imposed on us." Jake, face a mask of unreadable calm, retrieved a second envelope from his briefcase, noticeably thicker than the first. "I had these prepared yesterday," he said, tone unwavering. Eleanor took the envelope, flicked through the papers. Divorce papers. Her eyebrows rose a fraction. "Well, you certainly came prepared." "I prefer thoroughness," Jake replied, his tone mirroring hers. Without a word, Eleanor reached into her sleek handbag, pulled out an envelope of her own. "Already had my lawyers draw them up. Just waiting for the right moment," she said, meeting his gaze. A silent understanding passed between them. This wasn't just revenge. It was justice, reclaiming what had been stolen. "To fresh starts," Eleanor toasted, raising her glass. "And glorious endings," Jake added, his glass meeting hers with a soft clink. The rest of the hour, meticulous planning, every detail of their scheme honed to perfection. Flawless timing, precise movements, the slow, calculated unraveling designed to drive Sarah and Richard to madness. "One last thing," Eleanor said as they prepared to leave. "No second chances. Once we start, no going back." "Trust me," Jake replied, voice smooth but firm. "Backing out is the last thing on my mind." The week leading up to the gala felt like a drawn bowstring, tightening with each day. Jake moved with clinical precision, each moment bringing him closer to the reckoning. At home, he wore a mask of indifference, watching Sarah with cold detachment as she fussed over preparations. A new dress for the occasion, sleek black gown, likely more expensive than his monthly mortgage, probably charged to the anniversary card he'd given her. The irony wasn't lost on him. "How do I look?" she asked, twirling in front of the bedroom mirror. "Not too much," he answered, voice distant. "It's perfect." Perfect for her humiliation, he thought, a quiet satisfaction. "You'll definitely be the center of attention," he added, words laced with subtle bitterness. She smiled, oblivious to the edge in his tone. "You're so sweet," she said, then, "Don't forget to pick up your new tux from the tailor." "Already done?" he said, not mentioning the tux he'd chosen, designed to complement Eleanor's gown perfectly. Every detail, even his pocket square, planned to match her jewelry. Over the week, Jake and Eleanor communicated via encrypted emails, leaving nothing to chance. Secluded locations, away from prying eyes. Quiet cafes, out-of-the-way streets, places Richard and Eleanor would never think to look. "Richard's getting uneasy," Eleanor said, stirring her espresso. "He's noticed I've been taking calls in private, asking about my schedule." "Good," Jake replied, glancing at his phone. Sarah had texted, "Supplier meeting," but his tracking app showed the Carlisle. Let him twist. "I added a little something extra to the divorce papers," Eleanor continued, a smile playing on her lips. "A clause about moral turpitude. Richard's going to lose control of 3 of his biggest properties." "Impressive," Jake said, approval in his voice. "I've taught you well." Eleanor leaned in, eyes gleaming. "Your preparations?" Jake pulled out his phone, showing her a new element in their plan. "Hired someone to capture everything at the gala, multiple angles, professional quality. When this goes viral," he added, "there won't be a single high society event in New York where they're welcome again." 2 days before the gala, Sarah's behavior shifted. Unnervingly clingy, desperate for Jake's attention, as if she sensed something amiss but couldn't pinpoint it. She suggested they cook dinner together, like they used to. "I miss spending time with you," she said, chopping vegetables in the kitchen. "We've both been busy lately," Jake replied, voice cold, watching her hands, remembering cooking sessions once filled with warmth, affection. "Yes," he continued, "busy. Meetings, dinners, the usual." Sarah's hand faltered, knife hovering midair. "Well, that's just business," she said, voice quivering. "But this is our time." He smiled, savoring the knowledge this would be one of their last meals together. "Of course," he said. Our time. The night before the gala, Jake reviewed everything. Divorce papers, locked in his safe, each page methodically arranged to strip Sarah of everything she'd gained. Evidence, photos, messages, receipts, ready to detonate on the gala's screens. His phone buzzed. Eleanor. Everything set for tomorrow. All, Jake replied. No turning back. Good, she texted. They won't know what hit them. Jake stood at the bedroom window, gazing at the twinkling lights of New York. Behind him, Sarah slept soundly, blissfully unaware of the storm about to break. Tomorrow, her life of comfort and control would shatter. Glass and illusions. He thought of their vows, promises, faithfulness, empty shells. Tomorrow, everything would change. She'd spoken those vows, eyes locked on his, voice steady, confident, smile radiant. All deceit. Tomorrow, she'd learn the price of betrayal. His phone buzzed again. Eleanor. Sweet dreams. Tomorrow we take back everything they stole. Jake smirked into the stillness. Tomorrow, New York's elite would witness a scandal for generations. Tomorrow, Richard and Sarah would understand the magnitude of their affair. A mistake of the highest order. But tonight, a moment to savor, knowing vengeance was 24 hours away. Cold, exacting, without remorse. The Miller Charity Gala transformed the Plaza Hotel's opulent ballroom into a shimmering spectacle of wealth. Crystal chandeliers casting golden light. New York's elite mingling, draped in finery. Air thick with expensive perfume. Soft murmurs of conversation swirling. Jake leaned back in his tinted Mercedes, watching as the valet helped Eleanor from the car. Stunning. Dark blue designer gown, diamonds glinting, impeccable timing, fashionably late. All eyes would be on them. Ready? He asked, offering his arm. Eleanor's lips curled, sly, predatory. Born ready. Let's give them a show. They stepped into the ballroom, eyes immediately locked on Sarah and Richard by the bar, champagne flutes in hand, effortlessly comfortable in their betrayal. Sarah, sleek black dress. Richard, custom tuxedo. Remember, Eleanor whispered, grip tightening on Jake's arm. Let them come to us. Ignore them, they'll crack faster. Jake smirked. Agreed. Deliberate grace, they moved through the room. Conversations faltered, eyes turned, whispers rippling. Is that Jake Walker with Eleanor Sterling? But aren't they... Oh my God, look at Sarah's face. Jake caught the exact moment Sarah saw them. Face paled, champagne flute trembling. Richard's cocky smile flickered, knuckles white around his glass. David Miller, the host, approached, hand outstretched. Mr. Walker, Ms. Sterling. Surprised to see you together. David, Jake said, warm smile, shaking hands. Eleanor and I collaborating on exciting new ventures. Smooth delivery. Very exciting, Eleanor chimed in, voice carrying, just loud enough. Jake's been instrumental in exploring new opportunities. Suggestion, impossible to miss. Sarah set her glass down, hand visibly shaking. Darling. Eleanor's touch on Jake's arm, intimate, deliberate. Champagne? They moved through the crowd, pleasantries, acquaintances, complete blanking of Sarah and Richard, orchestrated for maximum impact. They're watching, Eleanor whispered, lifting her glass. Richard looks like he'll explode. Good, Jake smirked, hand sliding to the small of her back, guiding her to the dance floor. Orchestra, slow waltz. Jake pulled Eleanor close, bodies moving in practiced sync. "Your wife's about to lose it," Eleanor said, sly smile. "Changed colors 3 times in the last minute." "Richard's not handling it much better," Jake observed, smirking, jaw clenched, teeth grinding. They danced, every move calculated torment. Jake's hand traced Eleanor's back, slow, deliberate patterns. Soft laughter at something he whispered. To casual observers, lovers, swept away. Then Sarah broke, forced steps towards them, face a polite mask. "Jake!" Tight, controlled voice. "Could I speak with you?" Jake turned slowly, feigned surprise. "Sarah." False concern. "You look tense. Everything all right?" "Please," she urged, glance at Eleanor, then back to him. "Just a minute." Jake paused, feigning thought, hands possessively on Eleanor's waist. "Actually, promised Eleanor next dance. Maybe later." "This is important. More important than your date," she added, eyebrow raised slightly. Sarah's composure shattered. Panic. "What are you doing?" hissed, dropping pretense. "What do you think you're playing at?" Jake's response, immediate, unwavering. "Dancing," he said, calm voice, eyes flicking to Eleanor. "Issue?" Orchestra, another waltz. Sarah, motionless, composed exterior cracking. Other guests, subtly leaning in, hanging on every word. "Jake, please," Sarah whispered urgently, voice trembling. "What's going on between you and Eleanor?" Jake turned to Eleanor, gentle smile, almost affectionate. "What do you think, darling?" he asked lightly. "Fill her in?" Eleanor's finger provocatively down Jake's lapel, eyes glinting. "Some things are better unspoken," she purred. "Don't you agree?" "Always the wise one," Jake replied, nodding. Back to Sarah. "I'm sure you understand, sweetheart." "Sweetheart," hit Sarah like a slap. "What does that mean?" she demanded, color draining. "Oh, nothing," Jake said casually, eyes colder now. "Everyone's got secrets, don't they?" Before Sarah could retort, Richard appeared, cocky bravado gone, replaced by barely contained rage. "Enough games, Walker," he growled. "What do you think you're doing?" Eleanor's voice dripped sweetness, turning to face him, eyes narrowing. "How lovely of you to join us." Sinister smile. "Discussing secrets." "You have interesting thoughts on that, Richard?" Richard opened his mouth. Eleanor cut him off, cutting tone. "Oh, do tell, darling. Late-night meetings, business dinners, special clients." Sharp words, deliberately aimed. Grin widened, cutting tension. "Always had such captivating stories." Razor-edged smile. Guests, sensing drama, gathering, murmurs of speculation like electricity. Richard's jaw tightened, fists clenching. "Neither time nor place," he spat, composure cracking. "But I thought you enjoyed an audience, Richard," Jake said, raising eyebrow, feigned innocence. "Relish performing at the plaza. Tell last month. Thought no one was watching?" Color drained from Richard's face, flicker of panic. "You wouldn't," Richard muttered, voice wavering. Jake's smile unbroken. "Just making conversation. Unless, of course, you'd like to discuss something else?" Sarah grabbed Jake's arm, harsh whisper. "Stop," she hissed. "Whatever you think you know, think again." Jake looked at her hand, unreadable expression. Didn't speak until she released her grip. "Oh, I don't think, Sarah." Softly, chilling tone. "I know every detail. Every meeting, every lie. Sarah's eyes widened. Horror. You're making a scene. Am I? Jake replied smoothly. Thought I was dancing with my date. Glance at Eleanor, smile returning. Another round? Love to, Eleanor purred, stepping closer, hand sliding up his chest, deliberate for Richard's benefit. Though, voice thick with suggestion. Terrace later? Beautiful night for stargazing. Richard's fists clenched tighter, knuckles whitened, barely contained fury. Eleanor met his gaze, mockery blatant. Oh, darling, she cooed. You stopped having say in what I do moment you chose to sleep with my friend's wife. Words landed with deafening impact. Room, heavy silence. Sharp gasp, crowd. Sarah's knees buckled, grabbed waiter's tray for support. You don't know what you're talking about, Richard snapped, whisper. No, Eleanor corrected, wide grin. The Carlisle, Central Park Cafe, cozy spot on Upper East Side. Should I go on? Leaned closer to Jake, savoring moment. Dates, times, receipts. You're drunk, Richard growled, voice betraying unease. Eleanor, unconcerned, raised eyebrow. Hardly. Back to Jake, playful tilt of head. Darling, wasn't it 14th, 3 hours private booth, Le Bernardin, or 15th? 14th, Jake confirmed, coolly, deliberately. Same day Sarah said working late on Johnson account. Quite coincidence. Broken sound from Sarah's throat, turned to Jake, desperation. Jake, I can explain. Can you? He cut her off, fury erupting. Explain why you broke every vow? Lied day after day? Let this piece of garbage touch you? Sarah's heart hammered. Don't talk about him like that, snapped before she could stop. Heavy silence. Realization. Sarah's hand over mouth. Horror. Jake's voice, deadly quiet. Well, he said, words like blade. At least we know where your loyalties lie. Richard stepped forward, regaining control. Think you're clever, Walker? He spat. Games, accusations, games. Jake chuckled, darkly, no amusement. Not playing games, Richard. But if you think I'm here to entertain you, I'll leave that to you. Want to talk games, Richard? Jake's voice quiet, venom. Game where you sleep with other men's wives? Or where you play respectable businessman, destroy lives behind closed doors? Stepped closer, expression darkening. Careful, Richard, warned, danger in tone. Or what? Richard sneered, face twisting, defiance. What you planning to do to me? What you did to David Chen after affair with his wife came out? Or Peter Davis couldn't keep hands off his wife either? Jake's voice dropped lower, closing distance, each word knife. You're nothing but a predator, Richard. Miserable little man, preying on what isn't his. Watch your mouth! Richard spat, temper flaring. Voice rose. Before anyone reacted, Richard lunged, grabbed Jake's lapels. Gasps, crowd. Jake, unfazed, motionless. Go ahead, Jake said coldly, smile calculated. Show them exactly who you are. Richard's grip tightened, fingers white. Jake didn't flinch. Onlookers stepped back, forming circle. Whispers filled air. Think you can just come into my life, spread lies? Richard hissed. Hatred. Ruin my name? Jake raised eyebrow, laugh, sharp, humorless. Your name? Jake's voice frigid, freezing air. Only person ruined your name, Richard, is you. I'm just making sure everyone knows exactly what kind of man you are. You don't have faintest idea who I am. I know everything about you, Jake replied, unnervingly calm. All shady deals, all affairs, every life you've destroyed for your ego. Tell me, Richard, feel powerful ruining families? Feel strong stealing another man's wife? Richard, stop, please. Sarah's voice cracked, desperation. Making everything worse. Shut up, Richard snarled, eyes burning, looked towards her. Split-second distraction. Jake moved. Lightning speed. Seized Richard's wrist, twisted. Richard forced to let go. Richard staggered back, face twisted rage. Don't you ever, Jake said, low, deadly whisper. Tell my wife to shut up. Richard smirked, balance recovered. Your wife? Sneered. Same one been in my bed for months, begs for me, can't get enough of me. Before he finished, Jake's fist crashed into Richard's jaw, sickening thud. Ballroom, gunshot. Richard reeled, blood spilling, touched mouth in shock. Room, eerie silence, heartbeat. Then, Richard roared, lunged. Wild punch grazed Jake's shoulder. Jake, already moving, used Richard's momentum, solid blow to Richard's ribs, bone crack unmistakable, satisfying. Jake, stop! Sarah screamed, panic. Richard's movements, erratic, rage-fueled, no skill. Jake dodged, slipped under guard, uppercut. Richard's head snapped back, gasps, crowd. Security! Someone yelled. No one moved. Crowd watched, stunned. Richard, once towering figure. Real estate circles, systematically torn apart by betrayed man. Richard swung again, desperation sloppy. Jake blocked, crushing blow to solar plexus. Richard gasped, air knocked out. Grabbed Richard by hair, knee to face. Blood sprayed, marble floor. Richard crumpled, nose broken. Get up, Jake ordered coldly, standing over him. Show them how tough you are. Show them what a real man looks like. Richard tried to push up, blood dripping. Jake's boot, ribs, crashing back to floor. What's matter? Jake taunted, circling. Not so tough now? Not so confident without lies to hide behind? You're insane! Richard choked, spitting blood. Jake crouched, voice low, disdain. No, Richard. I'm simply better than you, in every way, including this. Another devastating punch, Richard groaning helplessly. Jake, please, Sarah cried, voice breaking, reached for him, shrugged her off, stumbling backward. Don't touch me, muttered coldly. Richard, blood dripping, mustered sneer. Listen to your wife, Walker, or what's left of her. Wrong thing to say. Instant. Jake's fist, Richard's mouth, knocking out teeth, silencing him. Hotel security burst in, 2 men in black suits, rushing Jake. Jake stepped back calmly, adjusting jacket, deliberate precision. No need, gentlemen. Smoothly, voice controlled, polite. Mr. Sterling and I concluded discussion. Eleanor, cold, satisfied look, stepped forward, watching aftermath. Well, darling. Calculating smile. Believe we still have one last matter tonight. Gestured to screens. Auction items, usually. Jake, knowing grin. Phone. Absolutely right, he replied, pressing button. Screens hummed. Ladies and gentlemen, please, a toast. Words echoed. Images flashed. Devastating. Incriminating. Richard and Sarah, hotels, clandestine meetings, security cameras, text messages, hotel invoices. Every detail, meticulously documented, crisp clarity, New York's elite witness, Jake. Fresh champagne flute, calm demeanor, unshaken chaos, tuxedo immaculate. Richard, another story, bleeding marble floor. Jake's voice, shocked silence. "Ladies and gentlemen, please raise glasses." "Jake, please, don't!" Sarah's voice wavered. Makeup mess, tears, perfect composure cracking. "Please," she begged, "talk about this in private." "Private?" Jake's gaze frigid, locked on her. "Like you and Richard kept a fair secret? Thought you were clever? Sneaking behind my back?" Screen shifted, more damning evidence. Intimate texts, hotel bookings, timestamps. Jake's voice steady, crowd. "While I built our future, wife pretended devoted partner, these two sneaking around, hotel rooms across city." Gasps rippled, guests recording. "Jake!" Sarah sobbed, pleading. "I can explain." "Explain?" Bitter laugh, sharp, cold sound. "How explain breaking every vow? Lying to my face, day in, day out?" Eyes narrowed. "No, Sarah, you don't get to explain." Nodded slightly, Eleanor stepped forward. Envelope. "Actually," Eleanor said, calm, composed voice, "don't think either of you will be doing much explaining." Deliberate steps, Richard, struggling, security guards, confused. Eleanor opened envelope, papers fall around him. "Divorce papers," announced smile, cold as ice. "Evidence of multiple affairs, illegal dealings, tax evasion, IRS, SEC, enlightening." "You can't," Richard started, words garbled blood. "I already have," Eleanor cut him off, grin widening. "Taught me well. Always have something on everyone. Learned from best." Jake, own envelope, legal documents, turned to Sarah. "And these," tossed papers at feet. "For you?" Stared divorce papers, face drained. "No," whispered, barely audible. "Yes," Jake replied, lifting glass. "To my dear wife and friend Richard. Toast to secrets, lies, arrogance, thinking you'd never be caught. And to karma," Eleanor added, raising glass, quiet precision. Sarah crumpled, floor, sobbing uncontrollably. Richard, bloodied, broken, tried to rise, wounded, humiliated, all to see. "You've destroyed everything," Sarah gasped, sobs. "No, sweetheart," Jake's voice, cold as grave. "You did that all on your own. I just made sure everyone knows exactly who you are." Turned to crowd, voice resonating, stunned silence. "Just so everyone's aware, evidence tonight sent to every major news outlet. Tomorrow's headlines, interesting." "You bastard!" Richard growled, floor, rage. Jake smirked, no warmth. "That's rich, coming from you." Eyes flashing venom. "By way, how's face feeling? Hope didn't leave lasting damage." Paused, cruel smile. "Though honestly, modeling career, going nowhere anyway." Eleanor stepped over Richard. Inconvenience. "Think it's time to leave, darling." Final tone. "Couldn't agree more," Jake responded, arm. They walked toward exit, crowd parting, red sea. Wreckage remained. Sarah, broken, sobbing floor. Richard, bloodied, defeated. Names, social standing, falsehoods, ruin, destroyed. Jake, nothing but profound, unshakable satisfaction. Justice exacted, cold, relentless, precisely envisioned. Sun-kissed New York skyline. Warm golden light. Headlines blazed scandal. Disgrace. Jake, Tranquility Penthouse, coffee, skimming New York Times. Real estate mogul's affair exposed. Headline blared. Shocking gala confrontation shakes New York's elite. Phone, non-stop messages, calls, emails. Begging side story. Buzzed, savoring quiet contentment. Knock on door. Security feed. Sarah, not poised society wife. Red eyes, swollen, wrinkled clothes, slept in them. Go away, Sarah. Intercom. Please. Voice cracked. 5 minutes, that's all. You had 10 years, Jake responded, toneless. Wasted them. Jake, I love you, she pleaded. Cut intercom off, camera, crumpled floor, tears. No sympathy. Let her cry. None of it mattered. Phone buzzed. Eleanor. Seen news? Answered. No preamble. Hard to miss, Jake said. Coffee. How's Richard taking it? Eleanor's voice. Amusement. Not great, Jake replied, lips faint smile. SEC launched investigation this morning. Our evidence, shady accounting, all over it. Best part, Eleanor, sarcasm. 3 major projects. Review. What pity. Indeed, Jake said, vindication. And not worst of it, 2 wives come forward, similar stories. Eleanor chuckled. Richard's predatory behavior. Bite him. Jake smiled. Irony. Divorce? Lawyers circling sharks. Eleanor, smirk. Morality clause, prenup, evidence affairs, taking him for everything. Silence. Eleanor spoke. Heard from Sarah? Sobbing outside my door. Jake, flatly. Pathetic. Plan? Eleanor, genuine curiosity. Do nothing. Jake, ice cold. Not my problem. Before Eleanor, knock. Building security. Mr. Walker, ex-wife, disturbance hallway. Remove her? Ex-wife, Jake corrected, sharp tone. Yes, get rid of her. Camera. Officers approached Sarah. Mrs. Walker, need to leave. 1, firmly. No, please, Sarah cried, failing feet. Jake, explain, please. Breaking voice. Officer's gaze hardened. Ma'am, don't make harder. She doesn't get it, Sarah sobbed. He's my husband. No, he's not. Jake's emotionless voice. Intercom. Divorce papers. Served last night. Remember? Watched. Escorted. Sobbing. Get her out building. Arrested trespassing. Coldly. Weak. Further misfortune. Sarah. Richard. Penthouse comfort. Watched spiral. Each twist. Revenge surpassed expectations. Phone rang. Maya. Assistant. Mr. Walker, Sarah, line 3, 7th call. Keep blocking her, instructed. Window, dark clouds, Hudson River. Updates? Yes, sir. Wall Street Journal. Comment, Richard Sterling's company, stock dropped 60% since Monday. Jake's lips, knowing smile. Tell them, no comment, but throw in karma, fascinating thing. Maya hesitated. One more thing, Mr. Walker. Mr. Reynolds wants meeting, considering making managing partner. Really? Jake raised eyebrow. Interesting. Maya's voice, excitement. He said, quote, anyone pull off takedown like that belongs in leadership. Before Jake, knock, office door. David Miller, real estate developer, doorway, uncomfortable suit. Jake, minute? Of course, David. Jake, ending call. Maya, chair. What brings New York's developer? David hesitated, uncomfortable. About Richard, trying to salvage business. Asked me talk to you. Did he? Jake's voice icy. Why care Richard thinks? Leaned back, eyes unwavering. What he did, unforgivable, no question. But company employs hundreds. Nothing to do with wrongdoings. Lose everything, just like those he trampled a long way. Moved forward, voice heavy. Tell me, David, did he send you apologize for David Chen? Crushed when ruined business? Or Peter Davis? Life destroyed, career, marriage, everything? David shifted, uncomfortable. Different situation. No, Jake cut in, bitter smile. Wasn't. Richard made choices. Answer for them. Expression colder. Answers? Here SEC digging joint ventures. Casual. Threat. Might want lawyers alert. David's face drained. Threatening me? Jake's smile, unmoved, icy. Not at all. Friendly advice. Colleagues. Stood, adjusting suit. Excuse me. Meeting divorce lawyer. Stern and Walker, top floor Park Avenue. Deborah Stern, divorce attorney, greeted Jake, predatory smile. Thick file, desk, smooth professional voice. Everything in order, she said. Soon-to-be ex-wife won't know hit her. Lawyer? Jake, flipping pages. Tried, Deborah replied, smile widening. Viral video, gala, top firms, won't touch her. Terrified crossing you. Stuck second-rate lawyer. Deborah, barely concealed amusement. Jake nodded, reviewing documents. House, you'll keep it? Deborah assured him. Prenup watertight. Proof infidelity, breach morality clause. Walks away with nothing, except what came in with. Good, Jake replied, signing papers. Serve her office. Public as possible. Phone buzzed. Eleanor. Message. Channel 7 News. Jake grabbed remote, Deborah's desk, TV, screen. Richard's battered face, outside office, reporters. Mr. Sterling, confirm SEC investigating company. True allegations fraud. More women come forward about affairs. Richard, shadow of mogul. Designer suit hung loosely, bruised face. No comment. Stammered. Rattled. Reporter pressed. Sources say major investors pulling out. Company facing bankruptcy? Richard's fear, palpable. Jake, surge satisfaction. Man, once untouchable, unraveling. Phone buzzed. Eleanor. Beautiful, isn't it? Message. Watching them fall apart. It is, Jake replied, eyes fixed screen. Divorce case? Perfectly. Lawyers found offshore accounts. Thought hidden. Just as Jake, Deborah handed tablet. Something else you should see. Screen. Post, Sarah. I know I've made terrible mistakes. Betrayed best man I've known, Jake. If you're reading, please, begging chance explain. Make things right. I'll do anything. Jake scoffed, disgust. Pathetic. Handed tablet Deborah. Make sure post, divorce filing, public confession, do talking. Already done, Deborah replied, gathering documents. All my years, high-profile divorces, never seen someone's life fall apart like this. Almost poetic. Jake straightened tie, faint smile. Masterpiece indeed. Month passed. New York's social scene irrevocably changed. Jake, polished desk, new corner office, Stern and Walker, managing partner. Tablet buzzed. Headline. Sterling Properties files bankruptcy. SEC investigation expands. More charges expected. Investors flee. Scandal continues. Intercom buzzed. Mr. Walker, Sarah's mother here to see you. Jake exhaled, annoyance. Send her in. Moments later, Martha Williams entered. Chanel suit, pearls, society matron, usual imperiousness gone, desperation. Didn't wait invitation, plopped chair. Jake, please, begged, trembling voice. Have to stop this. Stop what, Eleanor? Jake's voice, cold as ice. Fallout, daughter's actions, implored, hands trembling lap. Ruined her, business crumbling. No one work with her. Returned to parents' home, financial strain, no choice. Couldn't afford place, grief unbearable, hours weeping, sleep, pitiable sight. When she was Richard Sterling, did she shed tears, sleep soundly, guilt-free, after lying straight to my face? What she did, simple blunder? Jake shut down thinking. Mistake, forgetting anniversary, burning dinner, missing deadline. What she did, calculated. Intentional actions, months. Once held love, destroyed it. Jake stood over her, imposing, unwavering. And if you don't want kind of attention Richard's financial dealings getting, suggest you leave. Gone. Phone buzzed. Eleanor. You won't believe who approached me, Spa. Richard's mother, Jake guessed. Sly grin. Right, Eleanor replied. Practically begging mercy. Richard falling apart. Drinking, rambling revenge, thinks he might do something drastic. Let him try. Jake, hardening tone. Welcome another chance put him in his place. Won't need to. Eleanor, sharp edge. FBI raided his offices today. Everything we uncovered led them straight massive fraud operation. Lucky avoid jail time. Later, Jake's lawyer, update divorce. Everything moving, planned. Sarah, walk away. Nothing. No alimony, no property, not wedding rings. Jake ended call. Richard barged office, disheveled, half drunk. Polished appearance, crumpled shell. You bastard, Richard slurred, swaying. Ruined everything. Jake remained seated, unfazed. Security, 30 seconds. Flatly. Make them count. Everything I built. Company, reputation. You did that to yourself. Ice-cold voice. Every time you chose sleep with another man's wife. Every time you tore someone else's life apart for amusement. I made sure world saw you for who you are. I'll kill you! Richard screamed, lunging. Security pinned him. Take him out, Jake commanded, unyielding tone. Charged trespassing, threatening bodily harm. Richard dragged away, cursing. Jake's phone buzzed. Video message. Sarah, sidewalk, crumbling design studio, served divorce papers. Footage, crumbling floor, sobbing, bystanders filming misery. Another public humiliation. Perfect. Evening, Jake met Eleanor. 235th rooftop bar. Across from him, wide grin, radiating victory. Divorce final, announced Martini, silent toast. Got everything. Houses, cars, precious art collection. Moment threatened expose more affairs. Lawyers cornered him. Congratulations, Jake said, clinking glass. To freedom, justice. Eleanor smiled, softened sympathy. Almost feel sorry for them. Almost, he replied, dry. Don't, she urged. Made choices. Placed glass down, eyes glinting ambition. Moving New York, taking over East Coast operations. Well, my company now. Corrected, smug smile. Good for you, Jake, not missing beat. You could come with me? Eleanor, hand lightly brushing his. We make great team. Jake slowly pulled hand away. We made great team for revenge. Sharp tone. That's over. She nodded, unaffected. No regrets. None, he said, gaze distant. City lights. Mind far away. Thought they could keep secrets, play games. Never saw storm coming. Lost everything. Everything, she agreed, knowing look. Just like they deserve. Added, cold, firm voice. 3 months later, brutal chill. New York's winter. Everything encased ice. Hardness, Jake's heart. Penthouse, snowflakes swirl. Tablet, latest news. Richard Hammond indicted federal fraud charges. Former real estate mogul faces 20 years prison. Hammond Properties seized authorities. Scandal continues. Phone buzzed. Eleanor. Seen news? Escorting handcuffs. Beautiful. Video attached. Richard, once power, wealth, FBI agents, mansion, designer suit, wrinkled business casual, confident stride, shuffling, defeated walk. Jake, couldn't help but think, couldn't happen to more deserving man. Quiet laugh. Had feeling you'd appreciate that, said. By way heard from Sarah recently? Not since divorce. Last heard, junior designer, small firm, suburbs, quite fall, New York studio. Karma doesn't let people off hook. Speaking of, everything smooth, New York, Richard's old office, incredible view. Jake's lips, small smile. Eleanor, completely torn apart ex-husband's life, claimed everything. Company, properties, memberships. Man once untouchable staring down prison, left with nothing. Phone chimed. Email. Lawyer. House sold. More than hoped. Another connection. Past. Sarah. Severed. Donated everything she'd left, erasing her presence. Intercom buzzed. Mr. Walker, package for you. Send it up? Moments later, delivery. Letter, Sarah. Unmistakable handwriting, luxurious stationery. Final attempt. Jake, I know nothing I say can undo damage. Life we built, trust shattered, all gone. No one to blame but myself. Not asking forgiveness, don't deserve. Just need you know, losing you, watching you walk away gala night, truly understood what I lost. You were everything to me. Threw it all away for nothing. Richard, mistake. Horrible, stupid mistake. Cost me only man I'll ever love. Leaving New York. Nothing left for me here but memories. Regret. Won't reach out again. Just needed you here. I'm sorry. No apology. Never enough. Always, Sarah. Jake read twice. Dropped letter, crystal whiskey glass. Flick of lighter. Paper curled, blackened, ash. Walked wine cellar. Penthouse sealed deal. Macallan 25, anniversary scotch. Fitting now. Different milestone. Amber liquid. Glass. Glowing. Wedding ring. Sold morning after gala. Window. Sprawling city. New York skyline. Flickering lights. Shimmered through snow. Distant stars. Everything fall in place. Richard. Prison. Empire ruins. Reputation tatters. Sarah. Lost all. Business. Standing. World. punishment. Absolute, final, deserved. Jake raised glass, reflection. Window, dim light, not just face, man became. Stronger, colder, free vulnerability, forgiveness required. To karma, murmured softly. To justice, to perfect revenge. Slow sip scotch, deep layered flavor. Revenge, meticulously planned. Time to age, every drop, infinitely more satisfying. Phone buzzed again. News alert. Richard's bail denied. Wait trial, federal custody, lawyers, flight risk, legitimate, dwindling resources, offshore accounts. Jake couldn't help smile. Richard's battered, bloodied face, gala night. Physical altercation. Gratifying. This, total dismantling, far more satisfying. Another sip. Snow. Content, orchestrated perfect revenge. No forgiveness, no mercy. Pure cold justice. Delivered, planned. To that, said Empty Room, raising glass. Now that's toast worth remembering. Our story ended. Betrayal, not mistake, conscious choice. Shatters trust, destroys love, leaves ashes. Jake Walker, not perfect husband, believed loyalty, honesty, vows. Life, harsh truth, world lies hide smiles, promises crumble, selfish desires. Jake's story, not just revenge. Lesson, action, consequences. Infidelity, not accident. Betrayal, trust. Sooner or later, betrayal, price. Choose integrity. Honest, those who trust you. Because one day, masks fall. Truth, most devastating blow. What do you think story? Share opinion comments. Has this ever happened you? May force be with you. See you soon, friends.